Good evening, guys. How are we all doing? So Dan from Trading with Dan here. This is our Bitcoin evening wrap. So if you guys wouldn't mind smashing that like button, and we will head straight over to those charts. So Bitcoin on the 4 hour. Yeah, as you can see, the potential bull flag pattern has not broken to the downside. Looks like it's basically breaking to the upside. And what has happened is that we've broken free of this resistance zone. So obviously that's given us a nice pop to the upside. So that is definitely what we want to see. Obviously we have got a 4 hour 9 coming up in a few candles, so we want to get as much space as we can between this 10,600 basically 10,600 10,500 zone before we hit that 4 hour 9, because then we're gonna have to expect some sideways to down. But if we could hit that at 10.8, which is not, it's only like $100 or so from where we are now, that would not be the worst looking price action. But yeah, we're talking about this in the Telegram chat about how obviously patterns, it's not a bull flag until it actually breaks down. So sorry, it's not a bear flag until it actually breaks down. It looked like it was gonna be, it could be one. It looks like one, but if it breaks up, it's not a bear flag, is it? So yeah, it's good to see that making progress. Obviously it's gonna have something to do with the fact that Trump appears to be recovering and doing better. I think they're talking about him leaving hospital potentially, something, I believe I read that. But either way, it's positive news generally. And then here we go, weekend Wall Street. It was down well, quite a lot more than this before, and now it's getting to near enough flat, which is what you would expect, and that is what is driving up Bitcoin. So if we have that positive, if we shrug off the Bitmex FUD, we've got a good shot of breaking out of this pennant to the upside, a breakout in volatility with an upside directional bias. We've got everything going for us for that to possibly happen. And I mean, realistically, would expect to be around the 12k region. In the next week or two, if we do basically get that move up, if we do get that break to the upside. Obviously we know if you get the break to the downside, which at the moment is not looking as bad, because obviously we've had peak Bitmex FUD, and I think we've had peak Trump virus FUD as well. So I think those are subsiding, so they can only be release their downwards grip on these markets. So yeah, potentially looking positive, unless obviously the market throws another curve ball at us, which it very may well do. We are at some point gonna, well, to be honest, we are heading into this phase, the insolvency phase, where it's all well and good when it's a liquidity problem, but you can't you can't fix that. There's a saying, isn't there? You can't fix an insolvency problem with liquidity. So yeah, that is it. You can't print profits. Basically, you can print money, you can print liquidity, you can give money, you can whatever, but you can't print profits. You can't make a business that is not viable. Yeah, that is the next wave. So yeah, expect that to hit us, and that will have whatever impacts that has. Yeah, obviously we've got news of Cineworld, which is like a big what's it called? Yeah, movie theater, cinema chain that's shutting down all its places, which yeah, I mean, there's a big one where I live as well, in the city that I live in, and yeah, it's unfortunate to see, and it is ridiculous what is going on in the real economy. And I'm not talking about compared to the stock market, because I just don't care about making any sort of like comparisons, like we should be doing this or we shouldn't be doing that. There's what the markets do and what these charts do and how we trade them is one thing, which in my mind is totally separate to what I see in real life, when it's like people are losing their jobs, things are getting shut down, businesses are struggling, all because you've got craziness going on, just inept government policy, just draconian, authoritarian, 1984 style, just George Orwell. It is George Orwellian, just policies, just police doing crazy things all over the place, and yeah, I guess the people that are in power, they're relatively comfortable. They don't really care. They don't really see what it's like in the trenches of the real world. These people don't live in the real world. I think I've spoke to you guys before about the certain people that don't live in the real world. Politicians certainly don't live in the real world, but no one really was any under impression that did. Academics, scientists, they don't live in the real world either. Even when they do scientific experiments, they're not done on the basis of the real world of all the variables. They have like they have just like parameters that they have, which are clearly like a lot of them are just unrealistic in the real world, when just black swan events or things can happen that aren't factored into your into what your how you're doing your test. Obviously, I'm talking very broadly here. But yeah, they don't live in the real world, so clearly stock markets don't live in the real world, but that's fine. They are just little squiggly lines on a chart. They can actually do what they want. It doesn't matter. But so far as people are concerned, yeah, people need jobs. People need to be working. They don't need everything to be shutting down, everything to be struggling. It is not acceptable. I mean, this is the way I see it. People should realistically be allowed to make their own choices. And if we were in a Spanish flu type situation, I can guarantee you would not need the governments telling you what you need to do to stay safe. People would be doing it, right? So that's if you obviously understand that, then you need to understand if people aren't doing it at the moment, the government's having to force them to do it, then it basically isn't necessary. So yeah, people aren't stupid. People don't want to die. So people aren't going to do things that is going to result in them doing that. And if they're happy to go and do whatever they're going to do, that's because they've made their own risk assessment, which they're entitled to do, and they don't need a nanny state literally shutting everybody's businesses down, literally ruining everybody's lives. For what? It's just insane. But anyway, so yeah, so I think I've gone on a bit too much about that. But yeah, so Bitcoin is not looking too bad here. We are pushing above that 10.6 resistance. You guys know resistance support depending whether above or below, but it's an important level. We need to get back above. We need to hold above it. We need to take out these highs here. We need to get back up to 12k, and we need to just get back to Bitcoin business. Get back to the altcoin party. Get back to all that good stuff. Stock market's popping off. We just need that all going, because I know it isn't the real economy. It is not, but it's what we're doing, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It is what we're doing. If you wanted to trade the real economy, we'd be out there setting up businesses and stuff, wouldn't we? And yeah, and hoping that they do well. But we're not. We start trading these squiggly lines, and we need to make sure we do well with our squiggly lines, basically. So yeah, we'll have a quick whiz through the stochastics. Like I said, we are tightening up a lot. We were looking good. I mean, if we were going to read into them, I said this morning we were looking good. But I'm not reading into them too much, because we are just in a very tight range. In much the same way when we were looking bad the other day, I wasn't reading into it as too bad, because it was just in a tightening range. And now obviously we spent some time looking bad, so now we're turning back up and spending some time looking good. And that's what they'll do. They'll drift around, meander around. But yeah, 10 out. I mean, like, if I just looked at these and I wasn't looking at the actual PA, the actual price action, 4 hour looking great. 10 hour turning back up, 12 hour about to turn up, or is turning up, which is our cheat code. Daily looking like it's going to turn up after basically staying in the bullish area. 2 day moving up nicely. 3 day looking like it's probably going to turn back up based on everything else. 5 day getting a severe kink, which means it's going to potentially have the ability to turn back up. And then obviously we know the 5 day will feed through to the weekly, and then that'll be looking good. So we will almost have a full house here, guys. But like I said, don't. It's not as good a read. It is a good read. It's a positive read, but it isn't as definitive as it would normally be if we were in a sort of like a ranging moving price action like we sort of have here. So say we moved up here, we cooled off a little bit and then turned back up and moved back up again. It would be different to really here where we just sat here in a very tight range for all these weeks, basically not doing a lot. So yeah, anyway, if we do look at this weekly again, we'll just talk about the fact that it is we've broken out of this. We've come and back tested the neckline. If we rally and bounce back off this, then we've got an inverted head and shoulders, quite a large move to come and play out here, which we could be doing. Obviously, I'll mention it again. The bi-weekly 9, 1 to 4 candle correction. We are now on our basically halfway through our third candle. So at any point, that could be it. We could be done and we could be off to the races. So yeah, bullish scenarios. You know the bearish ones. We come back down, take out this neckline, and then well, then realistically we can hold any level in here, even down to around this 7k region, and still look okay. In the macro, still looking like we aren't gonna, that's it for Bitcoin, still looking like we can turn around and go back up. But yeah, what we need to watch at the moment is this 4-hour 9 for some sideways to down. Sorry, hiccuping a bit there. This sideways to down. Obviously, watch these trend lines that we've got drawn in. We start taking some of these out. Start taking some of these horizontals out. I'll just extend this. Yeah, and then obviously these levels here, this level here. Start taking this out, and we're back in business, guys. We are back in business. We will be back in business. So that is it, guys. So I hope you guys had a great weekend. I hope you didn't mind the fact there were no videos yesterday, but literally nothing had happened. Nothing had happened. I mean, we're starting to slightly get the move here. But yeah, so we will keep an eye on this. So there you go, guys. New trading week ahead to look forward to. Obviously, I think, well, regardless of what you think of the guy, the leader of the free world, as long as you want markets to do well, you want that guy to do well. And we want Bitcoin up. I wouldn't I wouldn't care who it was. I would hope they would recover if it was gonna if it was gonna help Bitcoin go up. Sounds a bit silly saying that, but also I don't think people should. I don't think anybody should wish ill on someone's like life based on just different political views. I don't think that is a road people should go down. It is irrational, and yeah, people can disagree, but they don't need to wish death upon people. I think that just says more about you and the people that do that rather than about anything else. And yeah, like I said, if it was Jerome Powell, as much as I don't particularly like him that had it and that was affecting the markets, I would want him to recover anyway. And then yeah, I'd want him to recover anyway. We don't need to be. It's not a very humane thing to be doing, wishing ill on people, unless they have obviously created a lot of harm on other people. I guess in some people's minds, I do want to refrain from saying delusional minds, but in some people's minds, certain people have done loads of really bad things to people, and that's how they justify what they're thinking. But I'm not too sure that is particularly the actual facts of the matter. But yeah, just a quick glance that we're at prop over markets, traditional markets. We do need oil to catch a bid this week, otherwise we're going to struggle with that input into predictive tracking models, saying the environment we're going to go in, and that will be screaming deflation, and we will be in trouble. So we need gold back above 1900 and holding. We need silver trying to work its way back towards 28. That's quite far away from price now, but yeah, at least get to about 25. We need oil. We do need oil back to about 39, and then things will probably start to look a bit rosier. Yeah, but I do think the potential in inverted commas second wave is particularly weighing in on oil. So yeah, we've got that. We have got that to be concerned about. So yeah, that's it, guys. Remember, this is not a financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Always do your own research, and I will speak to you guys in the morning.